Hey everyone, I am here about to fill up the Xbox One hard drive with about 362 gigabytes. I'm here with Destin.
Hey, Fran, what's going on?
Not much, Destin. You actually did all this research. So, yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
So we're sitting at 362 gigabytes on this hard drive right now. Now we're trying to install Zoo Tycoon, which needs 3 gigs of data, which would put us up to 365. And as you can see, we do not have enough space. The hard drive is full on this Xbox One.
Right. And to clarify that, right, so somewhere, at least by what we've experienced, we're getting stopped between 362 to 365. We don't have another, 1 gigabyte apps to install. This is as close as we could get.
Yeah.
So I think we should address that. We're saying, okay, we got about 500 gigabytes, knocked down to 362. They're like, how did we get there? It really is mostly just the 20 games. We do not have a ton of game saves, and even that are not going to take up a lot of space. We do not have, apps are not that big. We don't have a ton of game DVR recorded. And even if we did, I did the calculations, and it's something like 25 megabytes a minute, was it, or something like that. So a 5-minute clip is
very,
still
very low.
Very small. And so it's a 500 gigabyte hard drive, right?
Correct.
And there's reports out there that say, well, it should have, there's been teardowns. They say it should have about 391 gigabytes based on, kind of reading the hard drive and the base install of the OS. So what's taking up all the space? Well, we asked Microsoft, and their official response is it's the basic console OS, as well as some of the native first-party apps. Now, I think I'd like to know that Internet Explorer and Friends, and those are not very big.
All the apps that we have downloaded, none of them are larger than maybe 50 megabytes.
Yeah. Yeah, so exactly. It's not taking up that much space.
No.
Right? We have about 20 games.
Yeah. The largest one I just brought up here is NBA 2K14. It is 43.6, and on the lowest end is Peggle 2, which is 1.7.
Yeah, and I think that's good to show. Can you also show, was it FIFA?
FIFA 14 is about 8.
Right.
Which is on the lower end also. So it's kind of all over the board on the size of these games.
It is. But I would say a lot of the big budget titles, Dead Rising, Rise, Forza, right? Those were about 40 gigabytes, which seems
Call
to
of Duty, 40, just about.
So,
but then the apps, 26 gigs, or megs. These are megs, 24 megs.
Yeah, not
big difference.
Huge difference. I mean, you need 1,000 megabytes, basically, to get up to a gigabyte.
And we have 25 of those apps installed, and every app that you can get right now amounts to about 1.6 gigs. That's if you install everything.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. It's really about what would you want to instant switch to today. Which, by the way, if you bought all 20 of these games, that would cost you over $1,000, based on the suggested retail price. But, the point of this was to say, look, it's not like this is a bad thing, but it is a bit of an inconvenience as you start to install more and more. So that brings up the question of, an external hard drive, right? Because they also tell you, well, you've got infinite storage on the cloud. So actually, let's talk about that for a second. They say you have infinite storage. Well, yeah, you can buy all these products and you'll always have them on your account, just like with iTunes and other app services, but you have to download them.
Yes, exactly. And that's an issue for me because I want to play a game right away. I don't want to have to do some data management thing. But hopefully they update something with the OS that will make it a little easier for us. They have already announced that they are making changes on the OS side of things.
Yeah, but I ultimately don't think that's a solution. It's plugging in a big external hard drive, and to be fair, that's how it should work. In the past, you either got a pile of disks and you got to get up and you got to go put it in, or for me, in the new future, I'm going to have a big hard drive that I connect externally, 3 terabytes, and I'll never have to worry about it again. Storage is becoming cheaper, and that for me solves the problem, and I can say, go to this game, and never think twice about it. That would be really nice.
The instant switching is very, very nice, and unfortunately, that will be less easy when you have to manage your data.
Yeah, in the near term, here's an example is if you've uninstalled a game like Killer Instinct because you wanted to make some space. Killer Instinct's not that big, by the way.
It's 3.3 gigs.
Yeah, but let's say you install it to make some space. Well, you want to go play it, you actually have to reinstall the game. It is required. So the truth is Microsoft has got to get the external hard drive supported. They say it's going to be supported.
And it's only going to be USB 3.0, though, and that those are going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, you'll need to have one. I feel like that's perfectly reasonable, but you make a good point. It is it is more money for you if you don't already own one. Microsoft officially, what did they say? I have their quote right here in terms of, I asked them when would external hard drive be coming. And what they said is they focused on engineering resources and getting experiences that would be meaningful to consumers at launch, right? So what they're saying is we just needed to get this thing ready, get it out the door. The external hard drive support features will come later, In the future. That's as much as they were willing to say. So it could be 2 months. It could be 12 months. So it's hard to say. But honestly, they really need to get it fixed. But that being said, we're in a unique position where we have 20 games already for the Xbox One.
Yeah, and that's because, we get review copies, and we did this on purpose to see how many we could get installed.
Exactly. But, it's a sign of what's to come in the future, and, especially for people who do want to play a lot of the games, you're gonna run into somewhere between 10 and 20 games, depending on what it's going to be.
Yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful to everyone. Destin, really appreciate all the research you did.
Of course.
I feel a little smarter. I'm going to be thinking about that 362 gigabytes at night now. But honestly, I'm waiting for the other 15 games that I actually would be installing, because I only have a handful installed today.
Pick and choose wisely.
Yeah, that's the thing to think about. What do you want to instant switch to today?
Yeah.
So thank you for your time, and for everything storage and Xbox One and Destin Legary, keep it locked here to IGN.